Oh, I should have had a cigarette before I do this. Um,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Shifting Gears. I am your host, Clutch, and joining me is the very lovely, the very talented Sue Lee, also known as Smix. Is that how you pronounce it? Smix?
Smix, yeah, it's not as Smix as some people have asked me, which I thought was really funny.
Like a variant of Chex Mix. No, it is Smix, and I really appreciate her coming on the show, especially flying back from the MLG Winter Arena. So right off the bat, how was the event? You got to attend, you did some translating for
Um,
Slasher. How'd it go?
yes, I did. It was amazing. I mean, obviously going to these events, the best part is always kind of seeing the behind the scenes stuff, because you kind of really get to see firsthand just how much work is involved and how everyone really is working together to put out this great production. And everyone is working so hard all the time. I would say the biggest difference between this event and the other MLGs and tournaments that I've been to was that there were no fans, obviously, because it was in an enclosed studio. So it felt much more intimate. You were instead of having all these like random people, you didn't have that like buzz that you get from kind of normal MLG. Because normal MLG you see all these people that are constantly like talking, and there's this like constant buzz, and like there's like tension like that. But at this MLG Arena event, it was much calmer. Nothing like that. So it had all the normal things, just minus the fans. I would say that was the only biggest difference.
Yeah, the games were intense. We had a beautiful human story of MKP winning his first major tournament, Huck
Yeah,
placing third,
yeah,
DRG doing well, and then DeMuslim beating Nestea. So there was a
yeah,
lot of huge upsets and huge matches that were very important, but it was a huge difference with not having that crowd there. I
yeah.
was not able to see most of the tournament. I saw about a third because I was backstage or on stage in a show I was doing, which
Oh
is
yeah,
why
airplay, yeah.
that's right. I couldn't attend in person, but I'll be at the next one, I promise.
Mhm.
But it was there was that missing link that you would feel at MLGs where the crowd would go nuts, and that was very apparent.
Yeah,
But that's the kind of event that it was. Hopefully, in the future, they'll have spectators. Hopefully, they'll have a better award ceremony so that MKP knew
yeah.
he won. Um,
Yeah,
what?
I was actually gonna ask you because I never got to see the actual events through, I guess, how other people would have seen it, like through
Mhm.
a stream or anything. So watching it through the stream and not, obviously not seeing like the camera pan across like the audience and things like that. How is it different? Like obviously not having the fans there is big, but how did you physically see that affect the production itself?
Well, the production itself, I was very impressed with the actual player and being able to go between different games, or if there was downtime on the main stream with the casters, I could go to a different game that was casted. Um, but when there was that lack of downtime, I should say, it was a really good thing, but at the same time, it was tough where I didn't want to miss anything when I did have a
Mm-hmm.
chance to watch what was going on. So the pacing was different, but the production value was very high, impressively high. And the small things that they added, just having the two extra casters on a
Mm-hmm.
desk next to the two main casters and
Yeah, I
going
really
back and
like that
forth.
part too.
Yeah, it was cool, and it allowed the professionals that had watched the game, that play the game, to divulge or dive in more to what had happened, what had gone wrong, what had gone right for these players. And so I felt that was very important and really cool. In Control had talked about that, about adding a couch. And
Mhm.
so
Oh, couches, yeah.
when I'm in Columbus, I want to have him come on the couch and we'll talk about the last game. Like, okay, you got the clutch, we got the couch, you talked about this, the state of the game, let's go, man, let's do it.
Yeah.
Um, But more specifically, when it came to the finals with
Hmm.
MKP, when he won, it was like nobody knew what to do. And then DJ Week goes, "He
Yeah,
won, man! He won!" and started clapping. And MKP was sitting there with that beautiful New York skyline behind him.
I know.
So I felt it wasn't awkward. It was
No. I can see what you're
deflating.
saying. It was
Yeah.
a little anti like climactic in a way. Like
Hmm.
yeah. Um. Yeah, I noticed because I was reading reactions afterward because I was watching it in the Pro Players Lounge, so I didn't actually see it or I wasn't near him when it was happening, but I was in the Players Lounge, and of course in the Players Lounge, like there was a lot of reactions, like all the players were like, oh, like clapping and like whatever, but um, I was reading the comments afterward, and people were like, "Where's the epic music that usually plays like after someone wins?" Or, it's kind of sad you don't see the fans like going crazy, like chanting his name and things like that. So I guess that was the part that kind of made the whole MKP winning less, I guess, of dramatic. But
yeah, it's kind of tough because he wants to win in front of the fans, and that's what he said in his interview.
Yeah, he very much wants to do that.
Well, hopefully next time in Columbus he's qualified. He's got a ticket to go there. So
yeah, and he talked in the interview that I translated. He talked about how he really does want to do the same thing, except this time he really wants to do it in front of his fans. So
yeah, I'm sure he will. And getting over that curse of him not winning a tournament is now over. It's now over. So
he's so cute. Like, they're a lot of these players are really, really young, and MKP is no exception. He's really young too. So I mean, he still has a lot of time too, and he just earned his first MLG title. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. Well, hopefully up. He's got a lot of talent, and a lot of those matches were pure magic, pure Starcraft 2 magic, and it shows the game is not getting boring. The game is not dead. These players are coming up with new and innovative strategies that us as spectators can sit down and know that we're not going to see the same thing twice. This isn't, these tournaments are going to be different. Something's going to be new. Something's going to be fresh. And the casters help a lot with that. The interviews help a lot with that.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, but that's one of my favorite parts about StarCraft, and just in the sense that it never gets boring. There's always, like, the metagame is always changing. You never see the same things, like, last for way too long. You always have a player that comes out with a different strategy that beats a certain style that had been doing really, really well. So it's always evolving. Casters are obviously doing a really, really good job in making it entertaining for the people that are watching. I mean, that's why it's one of the best. That's why I really like StarCraft stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's good to stand the test of time when it comes to esports.
Yeah.
I believe. And we still have 2 more installments of the game.
Yeah.
It's nuts that'll change the metagame in the future, which is a little bit nerve-wracking to think that these players have to look at new strategies and whatnot, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And I know some people know this, but I am so ready for Diablo 3. That's my game. That's the game I want to cast. That's the game I want to spearhead. I want to be like the day 9 of Diablo 3 because I love that game. StarCraft 2's full. There's enough talent there. And we still have new and up-and-coming talent that are fantastic, that we try to support, and a lot of them come to me and ask, how do I get involved? And I said, okay, do these things, post content on YouTube, get involved in the community. So fostering that kind of growth and talent is great. But StarCraft 2, there's only so many formats that we can have. So with StarCraft 2 setting a great foundation of what esports should be like, along with other games that have come in the past, like Counter-Strike, it's great for more games coming out in the future. But like, hey, if we follow this method and this model, think of all the fans and the new customers we can have that want to purchase this game because they've watched it at a Barcraft somewhere, or they watched it at a official event somewhere. So it's very exciting. It's very good for the entire infrastructure of esports. With the pay-per-view issue had come out, a lot of people were in uproar about it. But you being at the event, do you feel that it was worth $20 for somebody to watch it?
I mean, honestly, even if I wasn't at the event, I would have paid the $20. I just honestly, I know I can see why I feel like the StarCraft community has been spoiled in the sense that we've been used to free everything, like free stream, free blah blah blah. Like, but that's not really how it works. Like, if we want this thing to grow, there's no way that it can continue to grow in the direction that it's headed if we don't.
Oh, I lost her. I'll try to get her back. Her internet's been going crazy. Dun, 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 dun.
So sorry about that.
You all right? Okay.
Okay, am I back?
Your video will be back in a sec, hopefully. But keep going.
Okay, are we good?
Yeah, go ahead.
What was the last thing I was saying before I got cut off?
You were talking about the necessity of money having to be there, or the infrastructure of esports for it to survive.
Yeah, and just having worked at both MLGs and IPLs and like in the latter part of last year. I mean, last year was kind of the year where it was a lot of investment into seeing like how big it can get, and obviously last year has shown us that esports is huge. Like, it has all this potential, but it can't keep they're not with the way they did it last year, they weren't making any money. It was just kind of an investment to see like, yeah. So obviously they need to start, you know, this whole $20 thing. It's just a hint of like what's to come. Like it's inevitable. But honestly, like $20 is not much. In New York, a movie ticket's like $12. Like let's be real here, and that's for like 2 hours out of your day. Whereas this MLG event was like all weekend. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's my personal opinion. I know that there are other arguments like detailing, but that's just my personal opinion.
Well,
So.
since you threw your personal opinion out there, I'll throw mine.
Mm-hmm.
I think that MLG could have done a better job communicating the fact that it was going to be a pay-per-view
Mm-hmm.
when they announced the Winter Arena. I think the timing and the messaging, and even Sundance said this, was off, and they made a mistake that way because people were getting excited for it. They watched the Winter Open qualifiers, and then, whoa, I have to pay $20 for this? Me personally, I don't have a problem with it. I have no problem putting $20 into something that I'm passionate about. But other people have budgets and other reasons, and therefore felt a little off guard of that happening. I understood the reasoning, but I do agree with Sundance that the messaging could have been better. Now, the format itself, the actual venue, we didn't see a whole lot of it, but we saw enough to show that even simple ideas of really cool lighting of the red versus blue, the really nice overlays over the stream, the information that was available to players via the player was worth the $20 in my opinion. Do you think that venue of where they were could be used again, or do they need to find a place that's bigger in order to accommodate any sort of spectators?
If this is something they want to keep doing, and I know that it is, and MLG also knows that that place is really, really small. I mean, there was a lot of, like, I don't know if I want to call it drama, but obviously there was a limit to how many people they could have up there, and there was a reason. Like, it's not a really big space, and, you know, like, first of all, you want to make the players as comfortable as possible, so I can see why, even with the limited number of people we had up there, they didn't want more than that. So if they want to continue doing this, and if they somehow do want to incorporate, like, a spectator, like, fans personally being up there or whatever it is, like I know probably they would want to get a bigger space, and I'm sure that this is something they're already thinking about and working on. So yeah, I think they should get a bigger space.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. It's tough to come by in New York City, that space, but that skyline behind the players was beautiful.
Yeah, it was pretty priceless. Yeah, every day when I would go upstairs, it would be like, 11 a.m. or whatever, and I would look at the skyline and be like, oh, this is like a wonderful way to start my day. And then at the end of the day, when we finish up, I look out and I'm like, okay, this is a wonderful way to end the night. So, and of course, the player streams always look good too because you can see the skyline behind them.
Yeah, it really was. It really was a treat, and I hope they keep that venue or keep that location because I liked it. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really cool, and there was a certain magic about it, of that behind them. All right, Sue, we've talked enough about MLG. We have you on the show. I have you on the show because we want to learn more about you. And she had joked earlier before the show started that she's like, well, I haven't really done much. I said, no. You are the cultural bridge. You are the communication bridge between two worlds, the Korean world and the Western world. You are vital to esports. But we want to learn more about you, and we're going to...
I don't know if I would say...
Well, first off, what is your history of video games and esports? What were the first kind of games that you got into?
Well, growing up, I had an older brother, so I just kind of experienced whatever games he was playing. So I started watching Starcraft because he played Starcraft. I watched him play CS. He was like really into Counter-Strike for a while. Of course, we had a N64, so we played a lot of N64. He got a GameCube, so I watched him play his GameCube games. A lot of it was just me watching him because he was really, really good and I wasn't. So I watched him play a lot of games, and that's kind of how I liked video games in the first place.
That's pretty influential. I feel a lot of girls that I've met that have gotten into video games was because of a brother or a cousin.
Yeah.
It's very influential on them.
Yeah.
So same for my sisters. I mean, they used to play Barbie's Writing Club, but it was because we had a computer that I played Counter-Strike on, so they got into video games a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a favorite video game of all time?
So I don't want to say it like that because for me it's just kind of like whatever game I'm into at the moment. But I remember when I was younger, because I was just so bad at the games, at least compared to how good my brother was, one moment that I was like really, really super proud about was, I don't know if you know this game, but in N64 there's a game called Star Fox.
Yes,
And,
do a barrel roll. Come on.
yes, exactly, exactly. And I was so proud because I beat the actual boss, the one with the brain, not the fake boss. I
Uh-huh.
don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but I
I
was
do.
so
I do know what you're talking about. Yep.
yeah, I was so proud because I was just like elementary school girl that, was like hyperventilating as she played because I would get scared and I beat the final boss that I knew was the real boss, not the fake boss. So that was my proudest, I guess, gaming moment.
That's one to be proud of. You had to, didn't you have to score so many points or blow up so many things throughout the entire campaign to even unlock the final boss, from what I remember?
I'm trying to remember what exactly you have to do to unlock the final boss, but I think it was something like you needed to get mission accomplished, not mission complete after each mission, and
Yeah.
I think it was something like that, yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. So,
Wow. I remember that brain boss too. And you had to keep shooting his eyes.
yeah, it was, oh God, he freaked the hell out of me. But yeah.
So when it comes to video games in general now, do you enjoy playing them more or do you enjoy spectating more?
I am definitely a spectator, and I mean that's very applicable, especially considering with Starcraft 2. A lot of people ask me like, "What league are you?" or "How good are you?" or whatever, and my answer is always like, I just watch," and they're like, "What the heck? What? Wait, why? What?" And for me, the answer has always been like, I'm just so bad. Like it's frustrating for me. Like I don't want to play. I'd rather watch people who are actually good at it, and so for me, it's always been purely a spectator experience.
It can be kind of frustrating too, especially the ladder system in StarCraft 2. When you play, you have that. I have that anxiety. It's like, do I really want to play this? Do I really want to get berated on ladder? And then you do it.
Yeah.
And when you win, it's one of the greatest feelings in video game history as far as competition, in my opinion, when you win on the ladder. But I completely understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely understand with the spectating aspect. And a lot of people that watch professional tournaments would say the same thing, is that they have a copy of the game, they like the game, but they would much rather watch it and watch these pros than try to play it themselves. Which, a game that people like to spectate is a pretty tough thing to do, and Blizzard did it right by designing and developing it to where they could have spectators. They had the replay system and the observing system in the game when it was released and have added upon it to make it a better experience for everybody. And that's very crucial for video games that are coming out to have any potential to be an esport.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy spectating any games besides StarCraft 2 at a professional or even a casual level?
Honestly, no, but that's not because I'm like close to any other game. It's just because I've just been so consumed with StarCraft right now. But I'm sure if I tried watching other games, I would enjoy those too. So pretty much like games in general. So.
Now, what do you do outside of esports?
So outside of esports, I'm just a normal college student. I go to school at Washington University in St. Louis. I am a senior in my second semester, so I have just a few months left before I graduate.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah. So,
what made you pick that school?
Out of the schools that I got into, it was one of the best ones, and it came down to WashU and Northwestern, and it's going to sound cheesy, but I chose WashU because my brother went there, so I wanted to get closer to my brother. So I chose WashU.
That's a valid choice. Who doesn't want to be around family, especially when they're going on their own in college?
Actually, a lot of my friends were like, that's exactly why you shouldn't go to WashU, to stay away. But, yeah, it turned out that even when I was at WashU, I didn't really get to see him that much, so it was fine. So
yeah, good. Okay, so full-time student. Is it tough sometimes scheduling-wise if you have to leave for a weekend for a tournament to speak to your professors and say, hey, I don't know if you knew this, but I'm famous on the internet and I got to go work for the weekend?
I'm not gonna lie. When I ask, I don't say it like that.
Oh, all right. I should maybe not say that.
Usually, I'll just give the standard excuse like I have a family emergency or something like that. Because I haven't had to do it that often where it actually did interfere with classes. Usually with like MLGs, it's much shorter over the weekend, so I don't have to miss much classes at all. I did have to do it for IPL, but that was just like the one time that I had to do it. So, but I am working IPL for, so I'll probably have to come up with some other excuse because I don't know if they would be okay with the excuse that you just said.
Easter weekend. That's all you got to say. Yo, religious observance,
yes,
Easter weekend,
yes.
I got to go. Sorry, Professor. I'll write the essay on the
Exactly.
airplane. See you later.
Exactly. I think that's exactly what I'll say.
Right on.
For
Right
a
on.
religious person. Yes.
All right. So, do you have any other hobbies besides, besides school? Do you have any hobbies besides esports?
Hobbies. I like singing. I'm not good at it. I'm not like that good at it, but I just like singing.
Were you
It's
at
just
the
something.
Were you at the Twitch party and they did karaoke at MLG Providence?
Providence, no. I
Okay.
was at the karaoke party at IPL 3.
Hmm.
So I got to, I don't know if you know, but I did a few Starcraft parody songs. And one of the ones that was more popular was one that I did with Tempo. And it was a parody of Stan. And it's just one of those songs. And then so Tempo and I performed Dan, the parody of Stan, at the IPL after party. But
Cool. Tempo's a good guy, energetic dude.
yeah, he's really, really awesome.
I told him if he ever needs me to beatbox for him or something, I'd do it.
You beatbox?
I do. I do. I do beatbox.
That is very surprising. You don't look like a beatboxer.
Yes, some people tell me that. That's part of the surprise and the magic of it. I just pop out of the corner, start beatboxing. There's somebody turn on the radio, and they go, "No, that's Clutch."
Interesting. I'm gonna have to ask you to do this for me next time.
Okay, I will. Next time we meet up, probably at Columbus, I'll do it.
Yeah, Columbus.
So you like to sing. The reason I brought up the karaoke after MLG Providence is I had the opportunity to do a karaoke song that somebody posted on YouTube recently, and it was Queen and David Bowie's Under Pressure.
Oh, okay.
And I had a good time doing that, so we may have to do a sing-off then at another karaoke party.
I don't know if you can handle this.
I don't know if I can either. That's maybe why we have to find out.
I'm just playing. I'm just playing. It should be good. It should be good.
Yeah, it should.
I'll look forward to it.
Do you have a favorite song you like to sing on karaoke? Or in the shower, or general?
I don't actually sing in the shower, but at karaoke, a lot of times, recently, I've grown to enjoy singing Disney songs. So I like singing like Part of Your World and A Whole New World.
Whole New World? All right, I will do duets with you at Whole New World.
Really?
Yeah, I will be Aladdin. I played Aladdin in elementary school in that production, and
Oh, wow.
I think I
Okay.
still know that song.
Sounds good. Sounds
Okay.
good.
I don't know where we'll get a
Alright.
flying carpet, but we'll work on it. So.
Okay, sounds good. We'll make it work.
Alrighty, alrighty. Well, singing is it's a great hobby to have because in terms of translating, use your voice a lot. The articulators, your resonance, everything. It may not mean anything to people that don't understand what that is, but you have to communicate with somebody clearly in 2 languages. So having that kind of hobby,
Really?
I think helps.
I feel like you're making it sound like this extremely difficult thing, but it's not that bad.
Yeah. Well, you make it look so easy. That's what's
Oh
true.
God, no.
Well, let's dive into translating in general, and also the cultural differences between Korea and North America or Europe or the Western culture. What kind of social customs are different?
Oh God, it's like everything, isn't it? Just everything from like little mannerisms to things that you would expect. I would say in general, people know this already, but Koreans are more conservative in terms of, like for example, the reason why Koreans a lot of the times give boring, polite interviews is because that's expected from the culture. And that's why like people like MC, they're rare as opposed to people like MMA who give like really standard like PC interviews.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely say that you're not going to get, it's going to be really rare to get more players like MC who are more outspoken, and you're probably never going to see someone who like creates drama or whatever, like say Idra, or get a personality like that. So I would say that's like probably the biggest difference that most people in the foreign scene have observed from watching the Korean players. Trying to think of anything else. I mean, there are just so many. um, People in the West have, you know what I've noticed? Koreans don't have good eating manners. They
Oh.
chomp on their food. It's pretty bad. So, yeah, I think Western people in general may have more of a sense of manners in that aspect. But, yeah.
Well, when I ate with the first Koreans that came to an MLG was Columbus last year, and I had dinner with Mr. Che and Moon and July and the other Korean players, Osira, that had showed up. And they waited until Moon got his food, and then they started eating. So they'll wait till the oldest person there starts eating, correct, before they'll start eating?
Exactly. And even when you finish, like, it's rude to get up first. Everyone should finish first. Or you need to get permission from, like, that same oldest person before you leave the table.
Okay. I found that to be impressive, that they had that kind of integrity to wait until he wasn't on the team. He was an opponent to some of them, but still they were traveling together and having dinner like that. I thought was really cool. Yeah,
speaking of that, there's a lot of little, like, I guess, etiquette involved with, like, people that are older. You'll definitely see... especially because, like, the age range with Korean players it's so vast. Like, you on the one hand you have players like Nesty who are, you know, pretty old, and then on the other hand you have players like Linok that are like 13 years younger than Nesty. So you definitely get a lot of, like, bowing and speaking in formal speech and et cetera, et cetera. So.
Well, that's very cool. I don't know. Nesty and Linok had a 13-year difference.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because I think Nesty was born in 1982 and Linok is, I'm pretty sure, 1995. So
I could see the difference in height, but I didn't know in age. That's boggles my mind sometimes. But that's true that I think the span of age may be a little bit more increasing Korea because of the prevalence of Brood War for the last 10 years.
Yeah, Nesty was a long-time Brood War player too, so that makes sense.
Yeah. What about hand gestures? When I first was communicating with the Koreans, I had to do a lot of translating through Mr. Che. And I like to talk with my hands sometimes as an actor. It's like you're in your body trying to communicate and whatnot. And like hitting your hands on your legs is not a good thing because it indicates like to hurry up. And I mean, that's what I was told. And so I was like, okay, don't do that. And watch what my hand gestures are. And don't be like really big with my hand gestures. Is that something that's true? Or is that a more formal thing in Korean culture?
I would say I don't know. I haven't personally experienced that much. But I can see why in certain situations they might be like, oh, is he asking me to hurry up or something like that. But I would say, for example, like these kind of hand gestures, like that's normal. Like that's fine. But if you're like, I don't know, I guess I would see why if you're like hitting your leg or something, they'd be like, oh, I need to hurry up. Especially because they probably have no idea what you're saying. So they're just like on edge the entire time. Yeah. I remember one of the things that got brought up with hand gestures is that I think it was one of the videos I saw at IPL3 or something, but like hand gestures, like when people take pictures, like with Korean players, you'll very, very standard. This is like very standard. Mm-hmm. Like you'll always see this, whereas and they don't smile. Korean players don't smile. They take very serious, like that's probably a standard picture.
Why? What's the meaning behind that? Or is that just how they're supposed to take pictures?
I have no idea. Okay. I actually asked one of my friends this because if you look at like all like Korean people's like normal like official pictures they have to take for like whatever it may be, like high school, passport, whatever, they all have like stone cold expressions, like very, very serious. So I don't know, maybe that's another cultural thing that is very, very different.
Okay. The reason I brought this up as far as my experience is that there was a lot on the line as far as impressing each other, because this was the first time we had the GSL partnership program and having these Koreans over there.
Yeah, Columbus was the first time, yeah.
So it was a bit daunting when they're like, hey, Clutch, here's what you get to do. Don't screw up because you could cause a war. I was like, okay, I'll do my best. So, but it was such an honor to meet them, to speak with them, and to help them out. And it was the first time in the States for some of the players. That was it was a big responsibility. So
it's a good thing Mr. Che was there because he's like one of the most awesome people that I've met in esports. So
yeah, he is. And I love his suits on GSL. They're very cool.
I know, it's so cute. I actually, when I visited Korea, like I saw him and he was in his suit, and I was like, "You look so different from the last time I saw you." Yeah, but it was nice seeing him in his work environment.
Yeah. Well, moving past the cultural differences, let's talk more about your experiences with translation, be it IPL, be it Team Liquid, be it at MLG events or any kind of events. When did you first feel confident enough that you could translate between English and Korean?
Are you talking about like live translating or like written?
Written first and then live translating.
Well, the way that I first started contributing in the first place was back in like January '09 when I first officially joined Team Liquid, though I had been lurking for a while. I noticed that there was this... did you keep up with Brood War? I have no idea.
I did for the later end of the scene for Brood War.
Okay. But are you aware of the MSL and OSL and things like that?
The OSL a little bit, but the MSL not as much. So.
I mean, it was the OSL and MSL were basically the two big tournaments in Korea, and there was this MSL group ceremony that I watched, and I really enjoyed watching it because it brought out like all these players' personalities. But I noticed it wasn't translated, so none of the foreign community got to watch it. So I was like, okay, I'll try translating this, and so it's kind of how I started. And then I just started translating interviews, and of course I didn't do it without help. I was like on like the Naver like dictionary like all the time looking up words and stuff. But I mean, for the most part, I mean, I grew up speaking Korean at home, so it wasn't like too difficult. And then that's when I realized, oh wow, like because when I got feedback and stuff that was pretty positive, I was like, wow, there really is a need for translators. So I kept doing it, and that's how I got more and more involved.
Cool. Were there any sort of obstacles that you had with it? Were there a lot of words that you didn't know that you had to look up, like technical words or anything? Or was
yeah, so there were definitely a lot of technical words that I didn't know. But of course, there are people that, like, I don't know if you know who he is, but you probably do. Wax Angel on Team Liquid. He's he's really good at Korean. So whenever I had problems, I would message him. I would message some other translators on Team Liquid, and they were all really helpful about it. And then eventually, I think like doing so many translations, my Korean actually got better.
That's very true.
Yeah, and the hardest part was like a lot of times there may be words that kind of Starcraft lingo that are used in these Korean interviews and things like that. So sometimes I would have no idea because it's not used commonly. But other than that, it was pretty okay. And
is Gosu used commonly in Korean culture? Is that mainly referred to Starcraft?
I do think that's more of a Starcraft thing.
Okay.
I haven't heard it be used like with my Korean international friends commonly at all. So.
So that was the written portion. When did you feel confident to do it live on the fly? Because written, you can edit and research, go back on the fly, and you're in front of the camera, and here you go, bam.
So it's funny how it started. I think what happened was Kenneget. Do you know who Kenneget is?
I know who Kenneget is, yes.
Okay, no, I'm sorry, I have no idea. So,
that's okay.
Kenneget found out that IPL3 was looking for translators, and they asked him if he would recommend anyone, and so he recommended me, and then there was a quick like phone interview, and then I got the job to translate it at IPL3. And of course, like in the few weeks like leading up to it, I was like kind of like freaking out because, as you said, live translating doesn't leave as much room for errors as opposed to like a written translation. So I started watching a lot of videos. I watched a lot of like Milkis's interviews at the times, and I watched. I just tried to like memorize all the like unit names in Korean and like player names and etc. And then when I actually like was put on the spot, of course, like I mean, I never felt ready per se, but it was more of like just do it. And then so I mean, most of it is kind of an instinctual thing anyway. It's not, there's no room to think since you have to kind of translate immediately. So
yeah, and also there's, I don't want to say maybe layers to it, or there's like the spirit of what the guy is saying that you don't have time, or you can't nitpick every single word to get the correct translation. But you know, okay, this is the essence of what he said, and I need to bring that to English, because in any sort of translation, I speak Spanish fluently, and that's a Romantic language, so it's a little bit easier to go between the two. But there's some phrases in Spanish that cannot directly translate into English, and vice versa. So you have to get, okay, what does this mean? What's the essence of this meaning? And then translate it over and into the other language.
Yeah, I think that's what I was the most like. That's why I think Hwani is one of the best translators out there, is because he'll take like the essence of what the Korean player said, and he'll take like a phrase that is very Korean, and then he'll translate it into like an English like similar phrase that like perfectly conveys exactly what's being said, just not like a literal translation because it wasn't applicable. Um, but yeah, I agree with you. There are times where they'll say something that I kind of have to like think about, and I like freak out for a second because I'm like, shit, like that wouldn't sound good in English.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
I mean,
understand what that's like.
usually it's been good though, because like I said, the Koreans give very like polite mannered answers, and so like 75% of the interviews I like translate, it's like I'm confident, I'll try my best, I'll show you good games. So.
Have you ever been nervous of translating something that they said of, am I sure he said that right? Did he just call Idra a tiny man, or something like that?
Um, there was one time that, well, like when I was translating at IPL3, I was just nervous all the time because like it was like on a stage first of all, so that feels kind of different in the first place. And secondly, I was nervous because it was my first time doing it, and thirdly, I felt nervous because I mean, I was just nervous. So I don't know the Korean players, but a lot of them were like they knew of my situation of being nervous, so they were like, "Oh, don't worry, like I'll give simple answers or whatever." And MMA was really really nice about it because he knew that like I was nervous, and so even if I was like struggling to like translate a question like perfectly, he like knew exactly what I was saying, and then I don't know, it was okay. There was no time where I felt like, oh shit, like that was not what he said at all. Um, it was more of like a standard nerves issue,
Yeah.
not like a fuck I fucked up. Sorry, I'm cursing a lot. Sorry. Not like a I screwed up exactly what they said, yeah.
It's a G-rated show, Sue. Not anymore.
I apologize.
All the 4-year-old kids that watch this show.
No, seriously, I ran them away. Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's okay. We're on the internet. Well, and the reason I brought up Idra, we love Idra. He's a great player. And the kind of manner mode of what was going on when the Koreans first came to Columbus was almost like they were all out to just one-up Idra on stage, especially MC. So I don't know if that was kind of intimidating for any kind of translator, if there's any sort of talk that some of these players would have toward any Western player or to anybody that needed to be translated. But
no, I would say it's like fun because like as soon as like let's say for example that MC just said, oh, I'm gonna kill him or something. I know the moment I say it, there's gonna be a reaction.
Yeah.
As long as I'm confident that that's exactly what he said, and I'm not just butchering it and saying something that he didn't mean to say, like then of course it's exciting for me too because I know what I'm conveying here and I know the reaction that's going to come out of it. So.
And that's your job. Your job is to convey what that person said and not to try to water it down. Like, oh, that wasn't politically correct. No, your job is to translate that. Now, if you got it wrong, then you made it worse.
Oh
or somebody
God,
made it worse,
yeah, that would be really really bad. So. Hopefully that will never happen.
Yeah, it would be really, really funny for a little while, but then it'd be really, really bad. So
yeah,
I'm sure it wouldn't. I'm sure it wouldn't. Okay,
yeah.
So let's take a step back and ask, what is your background with Korean? Did you grow up with your parents speaking Korean and then you learned English at school, or how did that work?
So I was born in Korea, but I moved to the States before I was even a year old. So I'm basically American, but because we grew up in New York, there was a big Korean community there. So my mom, my dad never really had to learn like perfect English or anything. So they always spoke a lot of Korean at home, and they were very adamant about the fact that I don't forget to learn to speak my own language. So I grew up speaking Korean at home, and of course my Korean isn't perfect at all by any means. There's a lot of, I guess the main difference is that like I grew up speaking very like, casual Korean, like I'm hungry mom, or what are you cooking for dinner mom? Very casual conversations. We never had like political discussions, for example. So, but yeah, I guess that's why I always felt comfortable speaking it. It was always just a matter of like words that I'm missing.
There seems to be a lot of the growing up scenarios of a lot of people our age where their parents had come from a different country, namely Korea or even Mexico, and that language was spoken in the house, but then the child learned English in school, and then they become very effective translators because they can bridge the gap between those two different worlds because they'd have to explain to their parents something that they learned at school or some sort of paperwork they'd have to sign to go on a field trip or something and to translate between the two. So that real world experience really makes a difference for instinctually knowing how to translate and also to do it confidently.
Yeah, I think the instinctual part is very important. Yeah.
So do you have any funny stories from translating?
I don't have like one anecdote or anything like that, but it was just funny because this weekend at the MLG Arena, I was working for Slasher translating for him, and it was funny because on Saturday, like I barely did any interviews because like all the Koreans were like running away from it, and so they like because they were just like tired and they didn't want to do interviews, and then we finally managed. Well, I don't want to use the word trap, but we caught DRG, and Slasher was like, "Yo, want to do an interview?"
That's
and the DRG, and the DRG just like looks at him and goes, "Fuck." And and then the next time we caught DRG for another interview because he was doing really, really well. He was like, I think he was like in the kitchen talking to somebody, and he was like, and he like it was just funny. But most of the time, like there's nothing that funny. It's just with DRG, there were certain instances because he has a pretty funny personality.
Nice.
So
I wish I was there. He's been fun to translate or to interview, and I had Wani translate for me at MLG Providence.
Yeah, he definitely gave one of the better, like more entertaining interviews. He had like bolder statements to say for sure.
Well, there's a focus in him too. Of how he carries himself when he comes on stage, that is, in comparison to MC, is different. MC is puffed up, ready to go, showmanship.
He's puffed up,
And DRG he's a little bit more reserved. He seems more like a thinker. And so to me, when he comes out and when he told Naniwa, I was like, "You're no match for me." Got a kick out of that. The kid had some spark to that. So it's really cool. It is really cool to get to know the personalities of these different players and to hear what they really have to say on stage. And it makes a difference when those fans are there, like we talked about before. When you hear that reaction, that MC "I kill you" moment when MC was talking in English.
Oh God, so good.
One of my favorite moments.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why he's in like so many of the top 10 ceremonies.
Yeah.
I think he was in like 4 or something like that.
I think so. I think MLG put him in about 4 of them.
Yeah.
With the Murloc suit, I think topping that series. It was perfect.
That was epic.
It was so funny because he told the staff I think he even told Sundance he's gonna do something if he wins, and so we're backstage waiting for what he's gonna do, and when he did that, we were going nuts.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that's hands down the best ceremony. So.
So for normal fans that like to say hi to one of their favorite Korean players, maybe the first time they've ever seen him in person, are there any quick Korean phrases these players could learn? That's like a nice little gesture to say hello.
You mean the fans? Or
that the fans can learn to say to the Korean players.
Well, if you're just wanting to say hello, it would be 안녕하세요.
Okay, 안녕하세요.
So 안녕하세요, and then like hello. But the other ones, but I'm sure these other ones I'm about to mention are ones that people know, like 화이팅, which means like good luck. What else?
감사합니다, which means thank you.
Which means thank you after maybe you get a signature or something like that. 뭐 수고하세요, which also means like best of luck with everything. Mostly, if you just even say one Korean word, they'll be like very entertained because obviously they expect nothing. So
when I saw MMA, because him and I are like brothers ever since Columbus. He's such a cool kid. Gosh, when he won the GSL finals at BlizzCon and we hugged each other, it was like, this is the greatest bromance ever. No. It was.
Oh man, it's really funny that you say that because everyone is like, oh yeah, MMA is my bro. Oh no, MMA is my bro. No, yo, bro, calm down, bro. He's my bro.
Yeah,
everyone is like fighting over MMA.
He's a really cool kid.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
And when he won Columbus, it was such a cool event. Anyways, I saw him. It might have been I think it was at either BlizzCon or Anaheim. It's all turning into a blur right now of last year. Yeah. But I came up to him, and I think one of the other translators was there, and I said, MMA, I've been working on my Korean. And I said something like, oh gosh, what did I say? Namjaga Daioyo or something like that. I think it means like the kid is running. But I said something else about food. And Wooju goes, did you just say you're a man, therefore I eat? And I said, yeah, something like that. And he goes, cool. He walked away, and I went, yes, my Korean's getting better. Because I meant something like that. So I'm working on it. Rosetta Stone is coming in handy. So. Oh,
you're using Rosetta Stone?
Yep. I bought all 3 levels, $400-something investment. So.
Wow, you're serious about this. Good luck then.
I am. I need all the luck I can get. But I've learned one. I learned one language, and people say, well, 2, English and then Spanish. Then if you learn one, then it's easier to learn others. So I just unfortunately haven't had a lot of time because of my last semester in school.
Yeah.
But hopefully they'll get better at it, and then maybe go to Korea myself and crash the GSL office.
And it's just, and I mean, just like learning even just one phrase at a time is like more than enough to. I mean, that's how people do it. They just learn like one word and then another word. I mean, if you look at the way Koreans speak English, it's not sentences. They'll say like nouns and then connect the nouns.
Mm-hmm. They'll
be like him go out food, and like that's their sentence and it makes sense. So.
It does. And MMA's English is getting way better too, because
his English it's getting a lot better. Yeah,
it's very impressive because they want to please their fans. They want to communicate with their fans. And I know I keep going back to Columbus of last year, but the look on the Koreans' faces to know that so many people were there to support them.
Yeah.
And I think that had a huge effect on the communication and the alertness that Koreans had now to what was happening in the Western world when it came to Starcraft 2. Because
for sure. Especially because Starcraft 2 at the time, even now, it just didn't have like the passionate like fan base as like Starcraft 1 did. So I mean, even now, if you go to like a GSL match studio or whatever, you're not going to get like a huge audience. But of course, I'm sure like being used to that and coming to like the foreign scene and seeing like all these people, you know, who they probably thought didn't even know who they were, cheering their names, I'm sure they were ecstatic.
Yeah. Well, and it was really cool when Boxer came for the first time to an MLG, and every time he gets on stage, the crowd is the loudest for any player.
I mean, let's be real here. Like, it doesn't even matter, like, how he does. He can just continue losing forever, but everyone's just going to love him because he is the Michael Jordan of StarCraft, so.
It's very true. And I think MMA told him something. When he won Columbus, he said, hey, I got this really neat trophy, and fans are going crazy over in a place called America. We should go check it out as Team Slayers. And then Boxer from his throne turned around and said, make it so. And then that's how Boxer came.
I think that's exactly what happened, yeah.
You had to ask Jessica, of course, first, and then once you said, okay.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable how much of an iron grip she has over that entire team, including Boxer.
Yeah, she's the den mother. She is a manager of that team, and she takes it seriously.
She takes it very seriously.
Which is cool.
And they take her very, very, very seriously as well. So.
Now, going back to translating here, let's face it, my Korean will never be as good as yours, at least the next 10 to 15 years, because you've grown up with it. You have that advantage over most people that try to take it up as a second or third language. Do you think the community would ever be open to a non-Korean translator? For example, if I was doing an interview and I felt confident enough in my Korean, if I translated on the fly, if I was interviewing somebody, or would that just not fly because we're so used to having yourself or Wani or Milkus when he worked for MLG being the translators?
I mean, honestly, I don't think it's a matter of like, oh, wait, this person's not even Korean, why are they translating? If you can do a good job, then like, why not? But that being said, if you like insist on doing it and you do like a really crappy job, then of course you're gonna get backlash for it. But I mean, if it's like a more casual interview, like there's been plenty of times where, like for example, like a really popular interview was one where D Muslim was translating for Puma. Have you seen this before?
No, I have not seen that one.
If you have a chance, go watch it. It's hilarious because basically Puma will like say something, and I mean I'm Korean, so I know what he's saying, and then D Muslim will be like, okay. So then he'll like interpret that one like noise that Puma made and give like a whole entire answer. So that was hilarious. So I think in like casual situations it's fine, but like in a more official setting, I mean, I don't know. It would just depend on how good the person is.
Yeah, they'd probably have to be tried and tested to make sure they can do it. And we've had other translators who, my name escapes, or their names escape me right now, that have done a great job. Maybe not in front of the camera or on stage at different tournaments, but they're there to help the staff members or the referees down in the player pit during MLG events. And I'm sure you've known a couple others at other events that bridge that communication gap between.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams now are like hiring their own like personal interpreters and things like that. So,
which is great because
yeah, it definitely helps out.
The world is getting smaller in the esports realm.
Yeah.
As far as the Korean or even other countries where translators are needed, because Europe has a lot of different countries and different languages, and even parts of Asia, you know, such as China, where some of these sports are getting more prominent. What is the best StarCraft 2 match you have spectated?
Oh, this is really hard. Oh, wow.
If you can't...
There are two that I can think of right now.
Okay.
One was the Kiwikaki Stefano match at IPL 30, and it was just like epic because Kiwikaki was just doing like a really, really, really good job like with using his mothership, and I hadn't really seen anyone use the mothership like so effectively before, so I really enjoyed watching that. And the other game was between White Raw and MMA. And the reason why I like that so much, number one, I'm just like a big MMA fan, so of course I was like more into it. But it was a game where everyone thought that MMA had lost. We were just like waiting for the GG, but somehow he came back. I don't even remember the details of the match, but all I remember is that people were getting up ready to like set up for the next match, and then he was somehow coming back, and everyone was just going like, what the hell is going on? Like, this makes absolutely no sense. And so I think those are the games I like watching the most, either when I see like a really interesting strategy that I haven't really seen used before, or when people are able to just like come back in a fashion that is just so unbelievable because everyone thought that it was over.
Yeah.
So
it makes for great stories.
Those two are the ones that... Oh, of course, yeah.
I would have to say one of my personal favorites recently...
I'm sure the casters like those games.
Oh, yeah. And the casters really helped to make them so engaging and exciting, and to point out why the games are so good. Good. But I was going to comment and say that one of my favorite matches I've ever watched was the 7 Series match between Boxer and Idra.
Yeah, I heard about that one, yeah.
Jeez, that was nuts. That was nuts. And
I wish I could have seen that live, because I remember all I got to do was kind of watch the VODs and read the live threads afterwards, and I could tell that if I had even just like been there or watched it like even on stream live, it would have been so epic. But yeah, I heard about that.
It was very good. I was backstage cringing because I wanted either player to win. Boxer because he's Boxer, and Idra because he's a foreign player, one of the best StarCraft 2 players in the world. And it was just a clash of the titans. And Boxer coming back with that crazy bunker rush build, and it was, oh my gosh, it was flabbergasting being backstage and thinking of 1,000 different questions of what I'm going to ask to which player, who's going to win.
Yeah.
It was
yeah, I remember Alex Garfield was giving an interview afterward. I think it was when Huck won MLG Orlando, and I think he was talking about like some of his like favorite moments of, I don't know, just like when he felt the most proud, I guess. And I remember that was the game that he mentioned. So I remember thinking, oh damn, I really should have watched it.
That was one of my most favorite interviews, which really didn't air. They used a very small piece of it for MLG, but after he won, they had me interview him at the press table. Or no, Huck, after he won.
Oh,
and that was really cool because that was such an emotional day for him, because his father was there, the first foreigner to win since the GSL partnership between MLG. It was just a huge day for him, and it was awesome. And he had this aura about him of, I've done something great, I'm really excited, but I need to sleep. So, but he was so candid.
That sounds like Huck.
Yeah, he was candid with his answers and professional, and it was really a pleasure to interview him. Sadly, the interview never really got broadcasted. MLG used it for when they needed it. But it was really cool to be there in that moment with him.
Yeah.
So even though we may not be much, Sue, I mean, I'm just an MC interviewer, you're a translator, but we really help that human story come across from the players to the fans. So you can take a little bit of pride, just a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So when have you been most nervous in regards to translating?
Most nervous. It was probably the first time I had to go on stage to translate on the main stage at IPL3, because that was the first time I was ever live translating, number one. And it was going to be my first time live translating. It was going to be in front of like the audience. To be fair, there weren't that many people yet, but still. And it was going to be streamed, and all these like bright lights were on my face, and like there was a cameraman like right here, and it was just really, yeah. So I would say that was the most nervous because it was my first time.
When have you been the most nervous in...
Though, to be fair, it's still...
Say again?
I say, to be fair, it's always a little nerve-wracking, but I don't think that's ever going to go away.
No, it's not. I learned this a couple years ago. It's this phrase that I really like when it comes to getting nervous or being those butterflies in your stomach before you have to do something on stage, even if it's just translating, is that if you're not nervous about your passion, you're not passionate enough about it. So those nerves are a good thing because you are there, you are ready to go, you are focused, you're in the moment, you don't want to mess up. And right when you go live, it seems like those nerves completely dissipate, at least for me. And you have all the energy and the smiles, and the weight has gone off your shoulders, and you're performing. You're doing what you need to do. You're translating. You are streamlining thoughts between two people and making sure that they're conveyed. And it's a great feeling. It's as performers, you know, we go through that a lot. That kind of those butterflies right next to the curtain before you go on stage. I feel it in my show, even though I've done the show many times, still get that nervous feeling. But it's a good thing. I don't think it's something that you try to like get over or like take classes to get over being nervous. It's part of being prepared, I believe. That's my thought. That's the gospel of performing according to Clutch. So yeah,
as long as you just I think nerves are fine as long as it doesn't affect your actual performance too much.
Yeah, if it does, then there's an issue.
That's when you should try and fix things, but yeah.
That's right. That's when you got to go read a book and see a psychiatrist or something. So what has been your favorite personal moment in esports?
Favorite personal moment in esports? Well, to be fair, I haven't been involved too long, so I don't think I have. I think my answer can very much change, but I would say because IPL was, I keep mentioning IPL, but it's because it was the first tournament that I live translated for.
Yeah, keep mentioning IPL. It's fine. We are an independent show.
But yeah, because it was the first tournament that, it was the first time I was behind the scenes to that level. So I just felt like I was like very much a part of the process of like taking care of the tournament and making sure it ran okay. And there were so many issues that went on the first and second day. So by the third and fourth day, like when things were smoothing out, there was this like incredible pride and like happiness that I felt. And so it's not one particular moment, but it was just really, really special, like being a part of it and watching it happen right in front of me, like that intimately, like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially to come through on the production side. Even when things were out of IPL's hands with that van hitting that that tower that totally destroyed communication coming out of there, we felt, I mean, I was in contact with people from MLG, and this show was still on the MLG.TV website. We felt bad. We you know, Sundance said, if you guys need help, let us know, because if IPL succeeds in esports, that means other companies can succeed in esports. If IPL doesn't succeed, if it doesn't succeed, that's not good. It's not good. So we want NASL, we want IPL, we want MLG all to succeed, because that means money for us, Sue. That means jobs. You know, we need that. So are there any unique challenges being a female in a male-dominated realm?
You know what? Honestly, on like a very, I don't know, you guys might be surprised by this, but no. I think as long as you don't make it an issue yourself or you aren't retarded about it, then it should never be an issue. And I haven't had it be an issue yet, so.
Good. Well, hopefully nobody... Go ahead.
But I will say that just being a female, I would say the rumors are quicker to start. I'll say that much. And I won't go into details what the rumors were. But yeah, the rumors are much quicker to start just because, yeah, I don't know how much I should be saying. But yeah, that's it.
Okay. Up to your discretion.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
You just have to be a little more careful, I think, just because there aren't as many females in this area. So just be careful not to be dumb and do stupid things, and it's fine.
Yeah. Understandable. In American culture, gamers are stereotyped by being intimidated by females. Is that... And she laughs. Is that true in Korean culture, or is that only a Western thing?
I don't even know if that's true in Western culture, to be honest.
It's true, but go ahead.
What I will say is if the Koreans are, I wouldn't say it's because they're gamers. I would just say it's part of the culture. A lot of them are really shy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of them are really shy.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say it's because they're like StarCraft 2 players that they're like that. I think it's because they're just shy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, some of them, like, I don't know, like if you look at Liquid Hero, who's like, you know, he's cute and he's doing a good job, like you would think like in an American setting, like he would probably be more confident, but I don't know if that's just his personality, but he's really shy. Or like even MMA, who is like MMA, like he's really shy. Like all these people are really shy despite their performances. So yeah.
And I think a lot of the fans get that because sometimes if a guy's shy, some people think he's stuck up. Or vice versa. If a girl's shy, they'll think, oh, they're stuck up because they're not talkative or whatnot. It's like, no, they're just shy. But I never got that sense of any of the Korean players of them being stuck up in any sense. It was always that, oh, they're shy, or they're shy to try to communicate in English even though they know some words because they're afraid to make any sort of mistakes, which I can understand because I felt the same way in Spanish.
Yeah.
But just the overarching stereotype that we have in media of the gamers are like the dudes that are on their computer Friday nights playing video games instead of going out and stuff like that. I don't know if that translated into Korean culture at all, but
no, I'm sure that part does, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, I'm sure we're breaking it with these gamers getting, geez, 6-figure income, some of them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm sure.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, next question. The skewed girl-to-guy ratio in the gaming world, do you think it's slightly shifting, or it's going to always be a status quo? Will there always be more guys in the gaming realm compared to girls?
I think there's always going to be more guys. That's not to say that I think like girls are not open to it. I just think it's more common. I mean, to be honest, like if you look at our culture, it's much it's easier to imagine like a guy playing video games than a girl playing video games, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Obviously, like I like video games, but I just think it's always going to be more common just because our culture kind of dictates that. But I do think girls are becoming more open about their love for video gaming, which is good. You should always be open about like whatever you're interested in. But as in the status quo, like yeah, I don't think that's going to change.
I agree with you, and I also have seen a lot more women embrace or love football or other sports. Because they've had brothers or they've grown up with it or it's their culture compared to before. So it's becoming just more a thing to share between males and females where, yes, I mean, football, everybody's male that plays that game professionally.
Yeah.
So,
oh, that would be hilarious if there's a women football team.
Yeah, Powder Puff Girls or something like that. I have to say it was cool to see Julia up against Losira in the booth because that's how the open bracket worked. I mean, I don't think John Nelson, who is in charge of the bracketing, or Ryan, the tournament director, was like, you know, we should get a chick on the main stage. That'd be really cool. That's just what happened for her to go up against Losira in the open bracket. And I thought that was really neat. And there was a lot of PR opportunities there to show, hey, this is a female gamer. She's part of a league. and she went up against one of the greatest Korean players of all time in a purely legitimate way. This wasn't some exhibition max or battle of the sexes. This is just what happened. So I thought that was cool. And she didn't do half bad. I think she would have done better than I would in the booth up against Lucira.
Yeah, I'm sure she would have done way better than I could too. But
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next question here. What kind of changes would you like to see in esports?
Whew, that's a loaded question. Let me think. I don't know. Obviously, it's still in its infant stages. There's so much. I think it's headed in the right direction, though. Considering how before MLG Columbus last year, I don't think it was nearly at the level. And then after Columbus, things just started like exponentially growing. And so it has shown itself to be something that can grow to the level that it is growing. And there's just so much passion and fans behind it. What I would like to see is people being open to growth in it. And when I say that, I mean like if people take like if MLG taking steps with this whole $20 thing, I hope that they don't just like I hope that people aren't just like closed off to that idea right away. And if they have feedback that they can give like honest feedback, not just like not even thinking about it. There are reasons why like these tournaments are taking the steps that they're taking. So if people give feedback, I hope it's like good feedback. And not just the $20 thing, just no matter what. There was something else I was thinking of too, but obviously it's not going to stay here. In order for esports to grow, it needs to keep going in other directions. And esports is not limited to Starcraft 2, so I hope that fans behind different, games can also be respectful to other games because, growth in one game helps growth in another game. It's all esports, so.
It's very true.
I just hope people cannot be snobs and people can be open to why things are being done the way they are. Because ultimately, we all want the same thing. We just want esports to grow, so.
Well, judging from what Sundance said of the Winter Arena being a success, is that I think it was the vocal minority that lashed out on Reddit and other forums saying, this is atrocious, how could they charge this, we will kill Sundance. Where the majority said, I'm going to take a chance. I've loved what MLG's done in the past, and maybe I didn't totally agree on how they packaged this deal communication-wise, or I bought my gold membership, and I was like, oh, my gold membership doesn't count for this? Okay, or that's cool, I guess. So, but that's where that line is drawn of how much of this am I willing to invest in? How passionate am I about esports? Is it worth $20? Is it worth the chance to take $20 on this? And I think that it proved successful in that rate that fans came through and said, you know what, MLG, we've liked the work you've done in the past, so here's $20. Now, if IPL or NASL does something similar with an only pay-per-view stream, MLG has broken that barrier, or has at least made the mold to like, okay, we try this, then IPL can say, all right, we're going to charge a specific tournament for $5, or NASL says, okay, this is going to cost $10. So at least it's out there to show that this format can work. Hey, if the advertising cost was there and it could have been a free stream, then the route would probably be taken for that to happen because that's what people were used to. But in my personal opinion, I don't think esports can thrive for very much longer on this sort of format it's on, because what it needs right now is people like you that can offer their services at a full-time capacity or at a capacity that they could use to make the production better, instead of, okay, we can hire you for this weekend and that's it, we'll see you in a couple months, because that's what's really going to grow esports. Is we have the fans, we have the talent, we have the players, we just need to have a constant infrastructure and a successful, healthy business where people can do this full-time, and then the result will show itself of, hey, these guys are working on it full-time, look at this amazing result, and they have the funds to support their families and themselves, and so they can put their whole heart and soul into it.
Yeah, I have to support my 2 kids and a husband back home, so.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Translate. Me too. I have to support my Mountain Dew, drinking. I don't know. It's like, it doesn't seem like there's a lot when it comes to when it comes to what do you need to put on a successful tournament? You need a lot. You need a lot to put on a successful tournament, and a lot of that is finances. And if you have the great talent, you don't want to lose them. If you have somebody that's great, you want to be able to pay them what they're worth, you know. So, but that's coming from me of a behind-the-scene producer guy of what it means that this $20 meant, or pay-per-views in the future, or any sort of financial structures that are different than just the free streams or the freemiums that are coming out. You're so smart, Sue. This has been great talking to you about this so far. A couple more questions here.
Sure, sure.
If someone wants to translate, how can they become involved?
Okay, well, if it's assuming that you're Korean and you're like a relatively good speaker, you don't even have to be that great, because I wasn't that great when I started either. Just do it. I mean, honestly, like, I'm not even talking about live translations right now. I'm talking about written translations. The only reason why I was given the opportunity to even, like, you know, do these live translations is because I did a lot of written translations back in the day. When I was most active, it was like early 2009, and it was on Team Liquid, and it was purely because, you know, Team Liquid has like a lot of random people that just contribute because they want to the community, and there's always a need for people to help translate. So if you see something on a Korean website that you think the foreign community would benefit from, then just translate it. Don't ask, just do it. And then, you know, if you keep doing it, then you're going to get the, you know, whatever, like, recognition that whatever, and then that will help you later if you want to continue doing it on a different level. Honestly, like, the whole live translating thing, like, I honestly think if I hadn't translated for Team Liquid, I would have never received that opportunity. So, I mean, even doing that, that was just me being like, oh, I really want people to, like, watch this group ceremony because I thought it was funny, so I'll just do it. And then I did it. And so if you want to become more involved, because through translating, just do it. That's what I would say.
And to echo what you said about translating, I'll talk about casting or producing content. Just do it. Grab a replay, cast it, put it on YouTube, create that as your own content, and then make a catalog for yourself. That's how I got recognized by MLG, is I made a countdown for Starcraft 2, and then I went to the first Starcraft 2 tournament in Raleigh in 2010. Or what, 2011? 2010.
Yeah, it was 2010.
Yeah, and made some videos, and then MLG said, hey, you want to be a cameraman? And I said, sure, and then went and did it. Had a great time, and then got promoted up through the ranks. I'm still a private contractor. I still, you know, don't work for them at a full-time capacity, but because you make your own content, you can show other people what you have done, and they'll say, hey, this person knows what he's doing, or they've created some good stuff on their own.
Yeah.
Let's hire him for an event. So,
I mean, ultimately, I mean, there are so many people that want to help out, but if you want to make yourself stand out in some way, then just, like we've been saying, you know, do it. Do some work so that they can actually see, like, wow, this person has been so passionate that they've been working on their own and doing these translations and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, that's what I would say.
Next question. Girls portrayed in video games, do you think they're becoming more realistic, either via dimensions of the girls or their personalities?
Okay, so you're going to have to help me out here because the only video game that I have been keeping up to date with is Starcraft, and there are no girls in Starcraft.
Kerrigan?
Besides Kerrigan. But
right.
She's not really a girl anymore, so.
Okay. Well, as far as, and I asked the same question to Anna Prosser in a previous interview, because she's another prominent
Yeah.
female.
What was her answer?
Her answer was, like, it's cool to see girls kick butt and do other great stuff, and it's also, like, video games and movies and things like that, it's not overhyped, but it's, like, blown up out of normal proportions, you know? Like, people aren't in these kind of normal scenarios. People aren't in space fighting Zerg, or people aren't going to places seeking treasure. But in the history of video games, women have been kind of not really fleshed out personality-wise. They've just been girls in armor that doesn't cover their heart area, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But I think it's changed because developers are becoming more mature of how to approach storylines with females in them, and that females aren't just these girls in distress anymore. I mean, look at
like
Kerrigan.
damsels in distress.
Yeah, Kerrigan was this sultry girl that Jim Raynor liked, but she could handle her own, that got betrayed, and then she becomes the, quote, queen bitch of the universe.
Yeah, she does.
So, and she's a very prominent part in the whole Starcraft mythos.
Yeah.
So it seems that females are taking on a stronger, more sophisticated role in video games. And I just wondered, you as a female, if you've noticed that, or it's just been something that you haven't really focused on.
I'll be honest, I haven't really thought about it much, but having listened to what you just said, I do agree with you. Especially if you look at the StarCraft saga, you're right, Kerrigan does start out as this, like, weak little... Not weak. I guess she was a ghost, so she wasn't weak. She killed things, so she wasn't weak.
She did.
But she eventually gets, you know, trapped by the Zerg. And then the story eventually ends with her kind of just, like, raping things. Not raping things. Killing a lot of things.
She rapes. She destroys. They call her the Queen of Blades, and I learned this because I decided to read all the StarCraft books because I'm that much of a nerd. But she was an expert with knives, and she would sneak into places as a ghost and kill people with knives. That's why they called her the Queen of Blades.
Wow.
That's how she got her nickname, and she was very good. She even killed, spoilers, but she even killed Arcturus's parents on a mission that she doesn't remember because the ghost program would wipe your memory. But when Arcturus's father was an insurrectionist, she was sent to kill him, and you didn't find out till the end of the book. So there's a little bit of history between Arcturus and Kerrigan that she doesn't even remember or know about. So interesting.
Yeah, and then if you look at, like, even when she's like, crap. Even when she's not Sarah Kerrigan anymore, and she is just Kerrigan. When she has her, like, 8 arms and stuff, she has, like, knives on each of them. So.
Yeah. That's very cool. It's almost like the Overmind could sense her skills or something and turn her into something that she was expert at doing. And also flirting with Jim, because she was good at that too. She was. She led him on. She definitely led him on. A lot of times. Okay. Just a few more questions, Sue, and we'll get you out of there. Favorite love story in a game, film, or book?
Okay, so I know that a lot of times when people think about love stories, they think like The Notebook or like Nicholas Sparks or I don't know, I feel like that would be the immediate thing people think of. I personally don't like those because I feel like life is not like that. Just realistically speaking, and I also don't believe in like the one or things like that. I feel like you make it happen, and if it doesn't happen, that's your fault, or it just doesn't happen. Favorite love story in a game, film, or book? This is hard. I haven't been reading a lot of romance. The films I've been watching haven't been very like encouraging with love either. And Starcraft isn't that romantic of a game.
One book's pretty good.
What book?
One book's Queen of Blades. That book is really cool. I can tell you one story, but like the chat's gonna explode because of spoilers. But Jim was on Char. Hold on.
Or mute your sound if you don't want to.
Yeah. Spoilers. Okay, so Jim Raynor was on Char because he kept having dreams of Sarah Kerrigan, and he had met and spoke with Zeratul and Tassadar, and kind of learned from the Protoss and sat next to him when they were discussing like the history of the Protoss, what was going on, who the Zerg were, and how Jim could help. But he kept having dreams about her, and so he decided to go to Char, and the Protoss were there as well. And Kerrigan would toy with them, where she would like do a flip and kiss his helmet, and then tuck him into these rocks and hit one of his airlines, so he couldn't do anything. While she would fight.
What?
Yeah, like, and she would fight Tassadar and Zeratul, while Jim's like, I can't breathe. This sucks. While he was stuck, she would toy with him that way.
What the heck?
It's funny, yeah. She would.
She did lead him on.
Yeah, well. There's a part of her that there's a part of her that's still.
I know there's a part of her that kind of.
That's what he kept dreaming about, and that's why he thought she was still alive. But she kept Jim alive. She didn't kill him. So that to me I find very intriguing between them. But
yeah,
that's the best StarCraft 2 book out there is Queen of Blades.
Yeah,
really
actually, you're right. Jim and Sarah do have like a really good story. But I would say other than that, I haven't really been up to date with my romance.
Mass Effect is coming out, Mass Effect 3, and I asked you before this interview, if you played any of the Mass Effect games. You said you hadn't, but when it comes to character relationships or those kind of emotional expressions that characters can have in a video game, perfection from BioWare. It's really good. It's really cool. So
Yeah, everybody told me about this stuff. I will check this out.
Yeah.
You aren't the only one that's been telling me to check it out, so that has to be a good sign.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good. Okay, enough about love. Let's...
Yeah, who the fuck cares about love, right?
Yeah, F that. Valentine's Day's over. We'll do that next year. All right, what is your dream career?
My dream career. So right now, I didn't mention this before, but I'm an anthropology and psychology major at school. So I am thinking of going into clinical psychology, and I do want to pursue that. So right now, my skeletal outline is like get my master's and then get my PhD, and then if I can just help people in some way like that, I think that would make me very, very happy. So that's my skeletal outline right now. But I'm also not a personality that is big on plans and things like that, so that can easily change, but we'll see.
Okay.
That's my plan now.
Well, your plan is to be happy, and you mentioned that this sort of line of work brings a lot of happiness to you, but when are you the happiest?
When am I the happiest?
Yeah.
It's going to sound so cliche, and it is cliche, but I'm the happiest when I'm around the people that I love. And that is my non-BS answer. That is the truth.
Cool.
When are you the happiest?
When am I the happiest?
Yes.
I'm the happiest when I look into the camera and realize that I still have eyeliner on for my makeup for the show I was in. Now, I am the happiest when I know that I put on the best show I could, and the audience knows it as well, and they are going crazy. That's when I've been the happiest, when that standing ovation is happening.
Standing ovations are very good. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of those, and even though my part's not that big in the show, just being part of that team of actors. If you guys don't know, I'm doing Death of a Salesman at the Virginia Stage Company, which is the only regional theater in the state of Virginia, so I actually get credit towards the Actors Equity Program, which is a big deal for theatrical actors, and even can translate over to a SAG membership, Screen Actors Guild. But to me, right now, that's when I'm the happiest overall, and look forward to that, and MLG or any sort of events for esports when I get to pump up the crowd or interview a player or just get everybody excited for what's about to happen. Maybe just a small thing, but I feel so honored and so happy to be in that position because I feel I can share that energy and share that excitement with other people, and because I'm so passionate about video games and esports that I can share that passion with others through that. So.
Yeah, agreed. If you're able to convey and kind of make other people understand that same sort of passion that everyone at an MLG feels, then obviously it's really good. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm not used to people asking me questions, so I was taken off guard by that.
sorry.
No, it's been a while. It's been a while since I've been interviewed, but thank you. Sue, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate your time. And
no problem.
You do make a difference in esports, and even though you say it's a small one, being able to translate between Korean and English is something that fans need all the time because they want to follow their favorite players. So, in closing, before I ask you to do shoutouts, who is your favorite player?
Whew, that's hard too.
You can mention a few if you want, but
okay, I'll say two things. One, the team I'll always be cheering for is Team Liquid because Team so hard. Let me show the shirt. Yeah, get one of these. They're really nice. I'll always be cheering for Team Liquid because Team Liquid is kind of how I got into Starcraft in the first place. So they're always going to be more into me. I will say though that one of the few players that I am a fangirl for, though for the most part I don't really fangirl for anybody. I do fangirl for MMA, so I would say he is one of my favorite players. Yes.
I fanboy for MMA, so he's a great player to follow.
Yeah.
Good answer. There's no wrong answer. All right, Sue, in closing, any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Thank you to, well, first of all, the Team Liquid community, you know, like, all of you guys that I know. I mean, I'm close to a lot of them, so I don't want to name all of them because I know I'm going to forget someone and they're going to get pissed. But Team Liquid, because you guys are the reason why I got into esports and Starcraft this much in the first place. I want to thank everybody that I've been working with and that has given me an opportunity to get this involved, whether it be IPL, whether it be MLG. Oh, I'll be working at MLG Columbus, so...
Yes!
Yes, I'll be working the main stage with Juani, so I'll see you guys there.
Dude, we're doing interviews. We're doing interviews.
Yes, we are.
Yeah,
yes,
you're gonna translate for me. Cool.
Yes, I will. So I'll be there. I'll be doing MLG. So thank you to MLG. Thank you to IPL. Thank you to Slasher for helping me translate it this past weekend. I mean, honestly, like everyone that I've met has been really, really awesome. So, yeah.
Are we gonna see you at IPL 4?
Yes, yeah, I will also be translating at IPL 4. So it'll be MLG Columbus, then a week later I'll be at IPL 4. So it'll be just nonstop.
Cool. I'm gonna try to make it at IPL 4, even if it's on my own dime. So
you should. It's Vegas.
I know.
It's Vegas.
I know. It's Vegas. Be exciting. Very cool. And anybody else?
I think that's it for now. If I come up with someone else, I'll just send an apologetic tweet. But for now, this is it.
And they can follow you at Twitter at SullyRabbit.
Yeah, Sully Rabbit. Yeah, that's my Twitter. So.
All right, Sue. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, anytime. It's been a pleasure. And if I do get MMA on this show one day, maybe I'll have you translate for me.
Ooh, well, of course I'd be happy to.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks again for being on the show. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
All right.
Remember, next week, Mass Effect 3 will be released, so the entire episode of Shifting Gears, which will start at 10:30 p.m. next week as well, because I'm still on the show till the end, till March 11th. It'll be all Mass Effect 3 live playing. I don't know if I'll be that far into a love story then, but we'll see. And so take care of yourself and get pumped for MLG coming to you in March. And then afterwards, IPL 4 coming to you in April. Take care. Thanks so much for watching.
Good night, guys. Bye.